Hello, hello, and welcome to Pump the Brakes.
Michael, good to see you.
Good to see you, Dave. You ready to pump those goddamn brakes?
I am
I'm all revved up, and I need my brakes pumped.
5-2.
5-2, 5-2. Can you believe it? Can you believe the
It's
Patriots are back?
They are back. It's exciting. Pump the brakes a little bit on how back they are, but they're back and enjoy it. Enjoy it. It's been a long time since we've been able to enjoy a football season. Like literally, it's been a long time since we could enjoy one, all the way back to Mac Jones's rookie season. So people should enjoy this. This is what it's all about, is having a team that's worth following, that's worth assessing, that's worth breaking down, and that's why we're here to do it.
It's truly an incredible feeling to wake up on Sunday morning and not dread having to watch the
Yeah,
Patriots.
have to get through a game. Yeah.
Today, we will be talking about the defense. Then we'll talk about the offense, talk about what we want to see on offense and defense. Speaking of defense, Dave, tell me what it's like. You got used to 25 years of a Bill Belichick defense, and
Yeah.
now you finally get to study something new.
Yeah, that's to me one of the most intriguing parts of this season coming into it was, as you said, for 25 years, we had one prevailing defensive scheme. What made Bill Belichick arguably the greatest defensive mind in the history of the sport is that he had this defensive scheme that had, fixed roles and core tenets, but it was very versatile and it could be augmented and it could mutate for the times, the changing times, the way the game is played, for the personnel at his disposal to certain extents. You can only do so much, and also from week to week, the matchup with the other team based on what their strengths were. It was a matchup-based defense. There had a lot of variation to it. There was very much of a chess element to it. It was fun to look forward to every week. The other thing is, after 25 years, you begin to sort of understand what kind of skill sets are necessary in each role in that defensive scheme, what kind of players they might go after to fill those roles, and what makes a good player in those roles. Now we have a completely different defensive scheme. It's not really a matchup scheme. It's more of a base defense. And that's something that I know I have to learn and adjust to and understand. And I'm not fully there, but we're learning as we go with this Patriot.
Can you expand more on like what a base defense is?
Yeah, so when I say that Belichick's defense was matchup oriented, it's the idea that I'm going into this week against the Dolphins do this well, I'm going to augment the way we run our defense to address what they do well. A base defense sort of runs more, this is what we do. This is our defense. And we might change a few things here and there, but the core structure of the defense, the tenets of the responsibilities of everybody involved, they're going to remain largely the same. It's going to be in a base set.
If you have a base defense, you have like we run a 3-4 defense or we run a 4-3 defense.
Yeah,
Is
and
like versus Belichick's like
right. Yeah, it's much more settled. I think nickel is a lot of base defense now, extra defensive back in because of the proliferation of the pass game. So there's typically one less linebacker a lot of the times. But so it's a very different defensive scheme than Bill Belichick. And so that's something that we all have to learn and grow with as the season progresses and trying to understand what's going on here.
interesting. Yeah, makes sense. All right, speaking of trying to understand this defense,
Mm.
I noticed some weird stats. Seems like our defense for the first 3 drives of the game is dog shit. But then after those 3 drives, we're ranked, I think, 3rd in the NFL by defensive DVOA or EPA. We sit there, we learn, we soak in the offense, and then once we've learned your offense, we destroy it. That feels like a very optimistic way of looking at it.
Yeah, I think there's a slow start in two senses. There's a slow start in terms of the game in their splits statistically, and also their starts of sets of downs as well. So to your earlier point, the start of the game, the first 3 drives, the difference between the first 3 drives and the rest of the game. I'll just give two stats. EPA per play, 30th out of 32 on the first 3 drives. They're third the rest of the game, as you said, third. Success rate, they're 32nd out of 32 on the first 3 drives. They're 10th the rest of the game. And then on early downs, their splits, they're much worse on early downs, 22nd in EPA per play. So early downs being first and second down, to 6th at EPA per play on third and fourth down. So they're settling in both in terms of the game and in sets of downs. And I don't think
Oh,
we can
interesting.
really boil it down to just one thing. I think there are multiple things going on at the same time, as there often is. It can't just be as simple as this one guy does this one thing wrong in one situation, and then if he just doesn't, we'll be okay. For one, I think they've noted that they struggle in the scripted portion of the game. Typically, an offense will script the first 15 or so plays of the game. They base it off of what they see on film from the opposing defense, things they think they might be able to take advantage of. The Patriots have not been defending those plays particularly well. The second element of that's related is there have been some like mind-bogglingly stupid defensive play calls to start some of these games. Two in particular stand out to me.
Like what? Yeah.
In the Vegas game,
Pop off.
the first touchdown they gave up in the Vegas game, I think it's 3rd and 11, and they go with a zero blitz. Zero blitz is you're sending the entire defensive front at the quarterback, and you're leaving your defensive backs in coverage sort of on an island. The goal being that you're going to get to the quarterback before someone shakes loose in coverage. And you need all hands on deck when you're doing that. Except what the Patriots did was they took Christian Barmore and Milton Williams, the two biggest men on their defensive unit, their two best pass rushers, and inexplicably dropped them into coverage. It'd be like asking Drake May to convert 3rd and long and tying his right hand behind his back. I mean, you're taking away what you do best at something that you're trying to accomplish. And they got burned. They gave up a big touchdown, 22-yard touchdown on that play. There was another.
That makes sense. Yeah.
There was another one in the Saints game. They sent a corner blitz off the edge, and what that did was it left Kyle Duggar in space on an island with a receiver downfield where he got burned, which is insane.
Not a
We
good place.
spent all summer hearing about how the Patriots could not give Kyle Duggar away to another team because they were convinced, rightfully so, that he's athletically limited in space, which has only gotten worse since he was injured last year. So why on earth? I know you're stuck with playing him because you don't have a lot of talent at the position. There's injury. Jalen Hawkins was out. But why on earth would you put him in the position to be one-on-one in space with an NFL wide receiver when you spent all summer telling us explicitly you don't think he can play anymore? So it's those decisions early in the game, they're sort of illogical, and it has to play into the scripted element of the game.
What could they have done differently on that Duggar play?
I mean, not leave him in that position. You can't run a play that leaves him in that spot. You can't be that aggressive if the outcome is going to be you leave your worst defensive back liable to be one-on-one in space. You have to know your personnel. That's what it is. It was a ridiculous decision, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of personnel, like, cornerbacks have been a big topic. Like Vrabel admitted on Monday that we've been playing less man-to-man coverage because our guys aren't very good at executing in man-to-man.
Yeah, I think the third element of the slow starts is personnel to me. I mean, we have to be realistic about what this defense is from a talent perspective. And the Vrabel group sort of explicitly told you what they thought of this defensive unit and its personnel when they took over. They did that when they brought in a ton of new players on the defensive side that they were familiar with in previous stops. They did that when they did a massive purge of the holdover defenders from the previous regime. You know, you can't build Rome in a day. They tried to paper up this defense given what they had been working with and the lack of draft picks that have hit, the lack of depth, in order to have something that is representative on the field. But you have to expect that you lack a certain amount of talent. Sometimes the execution is not going to be up to par, and that's an issue they've faced. To me, with the corners, like you said, they might be looking for another corner because of this man coverage issue, just to bolster that. I think a bigger issue to me in man coverage is the lack of support in the middle of the field. You know, Robert Spillane is a good player, sort of like Kyle Duggar is better going downhill than out in space and in coverage. He just doesn't move laterally like that. You don't want him out there ideally. You want him as your second off-ball linebacker, not your lead guy. And the other issue is safety. Their safety play is atrocious, and it's because they're playing with borderline NFL talent and a young guy. I mean, I think of Craig Woodson to me as an analogy is the Jared Wilson of defense, right? He's a bright young player, a lot to work with, who's being asked to do a lot, maybe isn't quite ready, and is being exposed at times. And that happened in this game as well on a big play.
Do you think Jabril Peppers would have been doing better?
I don't think Jabril Peppers would have hurt. You know, there was clearly this strong preference towards culture, and I don't know if there just wasn't a fit there anymore between what Mike Vrabel wanted for his team and Jabril Peppers being a part of it. But no one can sit here and look at this roster and say Jabril Peppers isn't one of the 3 or 4 most talented safeties that was on this team at the time when he got cut. And like I said, Woodson going through growing pains. There was a play in this game where the wide receiver DK for Tennessee is lined up across from Marcus Jones, who's in man coverage, Marcus Jones is an outside leverage, so he's sort of shutting off the outside to the wide receiver, funneling the play inside a little bit, but that's where he was going anyway. But when he's funneling that play inside, I imagine the idea is he's going to have a safety over the top to pick up whatever gets by him. It's hard to cover a guy in man coverage going across the field. Unfortunately, Craig Woodson was picking daisies out in center field. I don't know what he was doing. He got caught off guard and he got turned around, and you can't get spun around in the NFL in space against NFL wide receivers and catch them, and it's a big touchdown. Ironically, it's the exact same play that the Patriots scored on with Demario Douglas against the Saints. Same exact thing happened to their safety in New Orleans. So there's these growing pains because of personnel, and I do think, it would help to have more reinforcements.
Right, because I mean, we have like a couple of solid corners, but we just don't have the safeties to like give. They can't play man properly, right? Because they don't trust the safeties are going to have their backs. Like we can't be as aggressive as we want them to be.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we don't exactly have like a name brand edge rusher, right? Like we don't have like what Judon was for us in previous years.
I think we talked about last week, the ideal situation would have been Keon White had elevated into sort of a rotation with Chasen and Landry.
Not.
And he's not. He's done the opposite. Because listen, Landry and Chasen, they're nice. They're pro players. They're good players. They are not a part of your long range outlook on this team. They are here to help you get through these next 2 years as you rebuild this program and this defense. And you could use some help. And there's an area that I think hasn't really been tested a ton yet, and that's their ability to set the edge in the run game and not let things get beyond the offensive tackles and go wide. That's going to get tested in these next 2 weeks. You're facing the Browns and the Falcons. Those are two West Coast offenses. They run zone schemes. And so they're going to press the edges more than I think the Patriots have been tested. It's going to be interesting to see how those ends hold up in the run game, I think, going forward.
Interesting, because I guess because we've had a good run defense up until this point.
It's what's kept them in games. It's what's allowed them to settle in, and they're clearly settling in. So I don't want to tear them apart. They are sort of a league average defense because they do settle down and they do. But you can do that against Spencer Rattler and the Saints. You can do that against Cam Ward and the interim head coach there. But like when you play Baker Mayfield in the Tampa Bay Bucks or Lamar Jackson in the Ravens, you can't go down multiple scores and expect you're just going to climb out of it when you settle in. That's not sustainable.
Yeah, that's true. There was a graphic of like different like May being down different scores. Tom Brady was down 28-3 in the third quarter of the Super Bowl. But did you see when Drake May came back from like 6-0 in the first quarter of a Titans game?
Or the Miami Dolphins who are going to purge everybody from their operation? Yeah, I mean, you have to put it into perspective a little bit.
Right. Yeah, so you're saying do start Bijan in my fantasy league team that week.
I mean, well, you should be starting him every week no matter what. So yes, do start him. Yeah.
I feel like I should start players when they play the Patriots. Like I think it feels wrong. Like I love winning, but
it is an awkward feeling for sure. Not that I'm rooting. I don't really root for them when that happens, but it is what it is.
Yeah, like I hope he has a shitty game.
Just not shitty enough to where I lose,
Oh no, of course. Yeah, no, I mean unless I'm losing, obviously. Yeah, it's like the way you feel about PFF. It's like bullshit unless it supports the narrative you're trying to sell.
Exactly. 100% bullshit unless it fits my narrative.
Yeah. Speaking of narratives, the narrative of this team is interesting. As much as we should pump the brakes on our defense, where you're gonna have to really pour some cold water on my Lord and Savior, Drake May. 91.3% completion rate last week. 21 for 23. He wasn't just making easy throws, right? He wasn't dinking and dunking like a Kirk Cousins. No, he was tossing it up. He was throwing it around. He was throwing out difficult throws, and his receivers were coming down with them.
As
pump those brakes, Jave. Pump those brakes.
Yeah, as my guy said in the post game, he doesn't want to be Captain Checkdown or Charlie Checkdown. He wants to sling it a little bit, and you got to love that out of a young quarterback, especially one who like the team is now riding his shoulders. Like I love that confidence from him, and he should feel confident when you're besting a Tom Brady record for completion percentage on the team. Anytime you're in that company, that's an accomplishment. And the passing game is soaring right now. I mean, there's no two ways about it. We can qualify it with the competition if you want, but you can only play who's on the schedule, and he's made the most of it. It's quite an accomplishment for someone who coming out accuracy issues were the biggest question with him.
Yeah, it just gives me that warm, fuzzy feeling. I mean, and our receivers have stepped up too. We are second in the NFL in terms of our receivers not dropping the ball. Like 77% of the balls he throws are caught. Do you think that could also be like a culture and coaching thing? The receiving core is not that dissimilar from what he was dealing with last year.
I think you have some dependable guys. I mean, Diggs
It's
is a
true.
known dependable receiver on the field. Kayshon Boutte has developed into a dependable receiver on the field. I think he's got
Goddamn right.
the thing
Goddamn
that
right he has.
stands out to me is he's got strong hands. Like when he goes up to the point of attack on a ball or the ball is put out there, he's going to reel it in. The way he fights a ball out of the air with his hands is really impressive. That's the skill that stands out to me. And Matt Collins is a solid receiver. But to your point, he's making difficult throws. These are not easy throws.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of them.
Yeah, there were two that stood out to me. One has been talked about quite a bit. It was 7:35 left in the second quarter, 2nd and 8 from the Tennessee 31, and he hits what's called a hole shot, which is a sort of a hole space in between the zones. And this is a pro throw because there is a corner sort of in front of where Matt Collins is, and there's a safety beyond him. So you have to layer this throw into a space with the right touch, the right accuracy, and the right velocity. If that ball's underthrown, the corner is going to pick it off. If that ball's overthrown, the safety is going to pick it off. If that ball's overthrown just a little too much, your wide receiver could get murdered by that safety who's waiting to hit him. And instead, Drake May delivers a perfect pass down the right sideline to Matt Collins. It's a 22-yard gain, I think. And that's exactly the kind of throw you want to see from Drake May. So right here, if this ball's underthrown, this is picked off, he's going the other way. If this ball's overthrown, you see the guy around the 6-yard line here, the safety. He could pick the ball off. If you lead Matt Collins too far towards the safety, he's going to get decapitated. And instead, he delivers a ball with touch and accuracy, a 22-yard gain. That's a professional throw. And what that does is what that shows, at least, is that's proof that Drake May is now marrying the natural abilities that he had coming out of college that made him the number 3 overall pick, which was the arm strength, the arm talent, the ability to deliver a ball deep, and the athleticism with accuracy and touch and footwork and processing. That's becoming a pro at the highest level. That's a great throw. So there's this throw. It's 57 seconds left in the third quarter. The Patriots are starting their drive backed up on their own 7-yard line. And so Drake May makes this throw from the left hash mark to Diggs, who's going down the left sideline. And it's not a remarkable play, but it's an important play because he delivers a ball again with this great touch and velocity and accuracy. It's good coverage. Goes over the defender, over Diggs' shoulder, into his hands, out of bounds, 18-yard gain. That gets the team out of the pressure of being backed up against their own end zone. It's a great pro throw. And like I said with the first one, it just shows that he's marrying the mechanics and the accuracy with the natural skills. And so as a passer, it's so great to see.
It just makes me so happy. I think I found the throw. See, let's give it a little breakdown. I mean, that's just beautiful.
Yeah, that's the
Like
throw.
it's like he's throwing it like it's perfect. Like this
Right over the defender.
like,
It's only in a place where his receiver can come down with it. It's touch. You have to have touch, and it's you can't really look. I mean, it's almost in between the defender and the wide receiver, and so it's an impressive throw. It's a high level throw for sure. It's not to say though that Drake May was perfect in this game because I don't think he was
yeah, let's
perfect.
talk about how much he keeps running into people who throw him into the dirt and calls him. I don't want to see Josh Dobbs get on the field for the rest of the season.
No one does. Nobody in that building does. No one in this region does. Nobody who wants to see good quarterback play in the NFL does. And listen, I'm not going to advocate that Drake May stop running the football. That would be ridiculous. What's unleashed him as a passer is that they've allowed him to rely on his athleticism and run the ball. And that's a good thing, but he has to be more judicious about it. It's not always worth it, and it's not always necessary. There are times where he's leaving food on his plate. There might be a receiver or two open, or the pocket is not nearly as messy as you would need it to be to start running. And he's bailing out. And you want to balance that. You don't want your quarterback making one read, panicking for lack of a better term. I don't know that he's panicking, but his next move being break out and run. It's not the best quarterback play, in my opinion. And the other thing is, he's been compared to Josh Allen stylistically, but make no mistake, this is not Josh Allen. Josh Allen is built like a
Physically.
battering ram. I mean, you can run quarterback power up the teeth of the defensive line as a designed run with Josh Allen because he can withstand it. This is Drake May is a more sinewy, lankier athlete. He's built more like
Yeah,
Justin Herbert than he is Josh
he's a
Allen.
Justin Herbert, right? Like,
And so you just
yeah, like I mean, Josh Allen has 15 pounds on Drake May.
and
Like,
it
in the
looks
end,
like
like that's a
25 is the way it looks.
yeah.
He
He's got
looks
an
like a
he's
bigger
an inch
player.
bigger. He feels like a bigger player.
So to me, it's like you just have to he has to be more judicious. You also have to know that like that first down run where he got 6 yards and banged his head off the turf. I don't need 6 yards from you on first down as much as I need you to be upright on second and third down, especially at that point in the game.
Yeah,
And so it's just
yeah,
knowing when to call a play, throw a ball out of bounds. The more extreme version was when Brady would turtle under, with pressure. It's just get down. It's not always a bad thing. You have to know when to call it a
he's
day
been
on plays.
yeah. I mean, he's definitely more restrained than he was last year. Like, I like that he will run a little bit to make us like he still gets sacked, but he gets sacked like for 1 or 2 yard losses. Like that to me feels pretty good. He's been making he's not playing like he might be running with it, but he's not playing. I haven't seen him play hero ball the last few weeks. Like he's not just tossing it up hoping for something to happen. Like he's
No,
been
he's taking care
you
of the
know,
ball, but I also need him to take care of his brain. I
yeah,
that's he
fair.
has to be on the field to worry about him taking care of the ball. And I agree with you. He's done a great job since that Pittsburgh game of protecting the football, and that's huge. But again, you got to protect yourself because you're the season, you're the franchise. If this kid goes down, this team sucks without him. The way he's
It's
playing
true.
right now. Let's be honest. Like this is a mediocre at best roster if the quarterback's not playing this way. They're papering
Yeah.
together a rebuild and they're being carried by a second year quarterback who is playing above expectation. If he goes down, there goes, your dreams of a Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he is the source of my joy for the next 10 to 15 years. And like, yeah.
Got to protect it.
Okay. So last week we talked about how to beat the Patriots offense and your big focus was on cover two, right? We are not, the defense it performs the worst against cover two. And like, it seems like the Titans were watching. They're one of our 25 viewers.
That's right. The Titans were saying, "Hey, pump the brakes on this Patriots offense." And listen, it wasn't super successful. This is not a good team in the Titans. Their best player went out like in the first quarter and didn't return to the game in Jeffrey
Good
Simmons.
times.
But yeah, they ran cover two 64% of the time. Yeah.
64% of it.
And the Patriots took advantage of it. And one of the things was that I said I don't respect the run game enough to worry about inviting the run. And I still don't. I still think there needs to be a larger sample size of it. But credit to the Patriots running game is they took advantage of the too high safety look, the lighter box. Ramondre Stevenson looked better. They ran for 6.8 yards per carry in the first half. So they took what was given to them. And to me,
Yeah.
Henderson looked, he looked loose. He looked more comfortable, maybe less tentative about the fumbling. But the other thing that they did was
Henderson or Stevenson?
sorry, Stevenson, not Henderson. That's the Henderson's the opposite. Henderson is missing in action. He's in witness protection with Keon White. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
Stevenson.
he got directions from Judon last year.
Yes, Stevenson looked quicker just on the eye test. I mean, I don't know if you
Yeah.
agree, but to me, he just looked like he had more of that juice that we were talking about him
He
lacking.
looked more powerful. Like he looked like he was running with power.
Yeah, and less weighed down by, I think, the fear of the fumbling potentially. But one of the things I loved about what Josh McDaniels did with this offense last week was they did present a lot of cover two, and they were getting success with the run game against cover two. And then Tennessee decided we're going to bring a safety back down and we're going to go single high. And the Patriots adjusted off of that. They immediately went to a play action pass. They hit Mac Hollins in the middle of the field for a big gain. And that to me is exactly what you want out of your offense. You want the ability to adjust off of what the defense is throwing at you and to be able to execute. You want to keep the defense in constant conflict. That's complementary football. Complementary football
It's
is what
complimentary
wins
football, baby.
games against good teams. It could be in the micro sense, in that the offense plays complementary football, the passing game and the run game. It could be complementary football in the macro sense that the offense, the defense, and special teams are playing complementary football. But this is exactly what you need to do if you want to do what we hope they can, which is make a run, down the stretch and beat good teams and maybe win a playoff game. They have to play complementary football on offense, and this was the first time I feel like we really saw that, other than where the run game and the pass game sort of started to work together in concert. And I think if that can be sustained, which will be tough with what's coming up, if that can be sustained, that's a huge positive for this team progressing.
That would be amazing. Can you imagine winning a playoff game?
That
It's been
that
so long
should be
since
the
we've won a
goal,
playoff
in my
game.
opinion. That should be
Yeah,
the
to
goal.
me, it wasn't the goal starting the year, but it is absolutely the goal at this point. I mean, you can't play this well and not make the playoffs. Like, that's not even the goal at this point. Like, that's just a given. Making the playoffs at this point is like, it's a failure if they don't. If they can win a playoff game against a playoff team, I don't.
It's a failure if they don't, provided they stay
What
relatively healthy. If they start getting decimated by injuries, it's going to be hard for them to do it. But mathematically, they're getting to a point where you're 5-2, right? 7 games with 10,
Yeah,
10 games left, and you really need to go like 6-5.
7-3.
Yeah,
Yeah, 6-5.
or six and
Yeah,
4
6-4.
to win 11 games. I mean, and you have the Jets twice and Miami once. So, I mean, 10, 11 wins now should be the expectation. Making the playoffs should be the expectation. And the goal should be to
Yeah.
disrupt once you're there.
No, I mean the AFC is wide open, right? Like I mean, yeah, I mean the Raiders. Sorry, like the Ravens are decimated by injuries. The Chargers are decimated by injuries. I don't consider Trevor Lawrence to be a above average quarterback. The Jaguars aren't real. We can hang with almost any team in the AFC. The only two teams that really truly scare me are probably the Colts and the Chiefs. Right, like we've shown that we can beat the Bills. I'm not writing off the Bills, but we've beaten the Bills. Who else, right? We beat ourselves with the Steelers. We'll see if the corpse of Aaron Rodgers. We'll see how that does in late January. I don't see why we can't beat at least one team that sneaks into the playoffs, especially if we win the division and we're playing a wild card game against like lower competition.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's super. I mean, it's super important to win the division, right? We got to go blow for blow with the Bills at this point for the rest of the year.
listen, football is it's a matchup sport. As much as people want to talk about it like if you compare the lists of talent and see who's the better team, it's a matchup sport. And so the expectation should be to disrupt once you're in the playoffs, meaning win a game or two, but it's going to be entirely matchup dependent on who you face and what you look like then. And so I don't know who they're going to face or who they might beat at this point in the year, but I think they have a ceiling that says you can play with, just to your point, play with just about anybody in the AFC.
Yeah, you can hang. Like we can
Right.
hang. We have a team that can hang. That's what you need for football to be fun to watch, is to know that your team can hang in any given game, and then they're gonna, that if they're playing a bad team, that they'll kick the shit out of them. That's joy. That's what happiness looks like for a football fan. Before we talk about matchups, the one we do know we are going to play, the Browns, I just want to touch on the offensive line, because even here, I'm going to pump the brakes, Dave. I'm going to pump the brakes.
All right.
I don't think the offensive line played very well last week.
I tend to agree. I think it was a mixed bag. I would say it was not a step forward. The run game was obviously a little better. You can see that they ran the ball effectively. So they were better at getting to the second level, I think, which was something we talked about last week. Getting to those blocks at the linebacker level and sort of springing 3-yard runs into 8, 10, 12-yard runs. That's something they did better. Will Campbell did better in this game at that. But the pass protection left a lot to be desired, I think. Campbell was pretty so-so. He almost got May killed late in the game on a play. Jared Wilson was pretty bad. He had 2.5 sacks. And I wouldn't be totally shocked if Ben Brown gets some run this week. There's been no indication of it, but they could always give Wilson a blow if he's maybe too overwhelmed or he's dealing with injury. I don't know, but it wasn't a good week for him. And I thought it was the second straight pretty pedestrian to bad week for Garrett Bradbury, who got sort of physically overwhelmed by another large defensive lineman in sweat, like he did.
These big boys.
So.
We're struggling with the big boys.
And
we're just struggling with large men.
And that's going to be the story this week. And I think that's a natural sort of segue into previewing the Browns, because the matchup in this game is Patriots offense versus Browns defense.
Myles Garrett is a scary, scary man.
I
have nightmares. My sleep paralysis demon is Myles Garrett.
All right. They are a great defense.
Hi, my name is Mason Rudolph, and I'm scared of Myles Garrett.
Yeah, that's whose sleep paralysis demon Myles Garrett is. I don't know about yours, but
Yeah.
Definitely Mason Rudolph's, but they're a great defensive unit. They are top 5 in EPA per play. They're number 1 against the run. They are a top 10 sack rate team.
Can you imagine if they still had Baker Mayfield as their quarterback?
They'd be in a lot better spot than they are right now, that's for sure.
They would be the Lions. They would literally be the Lions.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean,
Maybe not.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's 1-to-1 like that, but they have a good defense. They have one really good corner, Denzel Ward. Other than that, the pass coverage can be a little suspect. They obviously drafted a defensive tackle up high in Mason Graham out of Michigan, and they have Myles Garrett, who apparently is your sleep paralysis demon, but is also arguably, or maybe not arguably, the best defensive player in the game right now.
Yeah, 100%. Since Aaron Donald retired, it's Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I mean,
He has no weakness.
if he's not one, he's top 5 undoubtedly. And so I would say that one of the issues that they're going to face in this game is that unlike some of the premier pass rushers they've played previously in Max Crosby or TJ Watt, those guys predominantly line up on the right side against the right side of the offensive line. Myles Garrett will move around and has traditionally lined up a lot over the left side of the offensive line. This will be the single biggest test that Will Campbell and Jared Wilson have faced at the NFL level. And that's the matchup to watch. These are the two units to watch, the Patriots offense and the Browns defense. The Browns offense doesn't do anything for me. I'm not particularly worried about them with their level of quarterback play they have going on right now.
Yeah.
This could be a rock fight in terms of the way they match up with you defensively. And it's a great coordinator matchup for people who care about coaching. You have Josh McDaniels.
I was about to say, this is a real test for Josh McDaniels.
I mean, listen, McDaniels has had success against Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz has been around a long time. He's a very aggressive defensive coordinator. He likes to blitz. I think he was the Eagles' defensive coordinator in Super Bowl 52, which, while the Patriots lost, was not because they couldn't move the football. It was arguably Tom Brady's greatest statistical game, despite a loss. So, you can't rely on that history because the personnel is all completely different for both teams, but they're two smart coaches who know how to play the chess game, and it'll be worth watching. To me, this as a matchup, but this to me, when you talk matchups, is a worse matchup potentially for the Patriots than the Pittsburgh Steelers were. I think both offenses, Pittsburgh and Cleveland, they don't concern me a ton. Pittsburgh's more so just because their talent is, but they have a sort of a pop gun phony offense too, and an unreliable quarterback, in my opinion, at this stage in his career. And you moved the ball really well against Pittsburgh's defense. You just couldn't stop giving the ball back to them. And so
a little too generous with them.
This defense, I think, matches up better against you, and your strength is the passing game. And so if they can take it away, I think it opens things up to variable outcomes.
How do you think they'll take it away, right? They don't have one good corner, so Diggs is gone, but you still have Booty. But I guess the issue is just can our line hold up against Garrett, right? Like, what do you think is the key? What's the Vrabel key to victory on the offensive side?
I mean, I think the thing I've said it already. The thing I'm looking for is how the left side of this offensive line plays. It does Drake May. Drake May's had some time in these games to make the right throws, to make the right decisions, and to maneuver in the pocket. And do they disrupt that to the point where he's sped up and, he can't necessarily score enough points with his legs and the passing game just isn't there because he's so sped up by pressure? I think there's a possibility there to where you're in a low scoring game and all of a sudden you need a defensive turnover or you need to make all your kicks, which they haven't been in the position to have to do yet. And that's an open question with this team as well. And so I think there's a chance for it to be a really close game. And then, on the defensive side from the Patriots, I'd like to see they haven't been the best at generating pressure, just rushing 4 guys up front. And I'd like to see them be able to take advantage of an inconsistent and inexperienced passing game by generating some pressure and creating some short fields for that offense who has to face an elite defense. If you can get a turnover or two, and you can get the offense the ball on the Browns side of the field, you're doing your offense a real favor in a game where they could face some struggles. That said, they should beat this Browns team. It's a 2-5 team. They're not incredibly talented.
Yeah.
They knocked off the Packers, who are a very good team, and they can knock you off as well in this game. But the Patriots should still win this game, in my opinion.
They're a feisty competitor. Yeah, I mean they beat the Packers and they beat the Dolphins. I mean, yeah, if you're losing to the do you think we're better or worse than the Vikings, for example?
That's a tough question. You're not as talented as the Vikings, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
I don't know even that you're as well. I kind of like the coaching staff of the Vikings better as well.
I'm a big fan. I really like the Vikings coaching staff. I mean, I love Brian Flores' defense. It's reminds me the most probably the modern equivalent of like what Belichick used to do, right? Where it's like it just adapts.
Well,
You don't
yeah,
know what you're facing.
and naturally so, as he came up under Belichick and was a defensive coordinator and was one of my favorite variations of the Belichick defense was when he was running it because it was hyper aggressive in a way that a lot of times the Belichick defense could be more sit back and bend but don't break, and he would cut it loose a little bit more. So it made things, fun from that perspective. Yeah, I think they have great coaches. I'd have to think more about how the individual matchups would line up if those teams faced off. The Wentz thing, it's tough. The quarterback thing is tough, man. There's only so much you can do when you're limited at that spot. And so I think
Yeah, I
they're
guess that's the thing,
similar,
right? Is the biggest difference. I think it just reinforces just how important Drake May is to this team.
especially to this team. I mean, they have to be carried by the quarterback with the way they're playing, I think, across the board elsewhere in the run game and defensively. They need him to play like this, and you have to expect that he's going to come back down to earth a little bit, but they still need something out of him down the stretch here going forward.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so let's talk about some rankings. Let's get
Yeah.
into it.
All right. I'll give you a
Hit me,
would you
Dave.
do an AFC top five, NFC top five or something? I mean, I would preface this by saying this is where they're at right now. It's not, I wouldn't power rank these teams based this way based on who has the best
The
chance.
weekly is the week 8.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Week 8 power ranking. Yeah.
In the AFC, I'd have the Chiefs number one. I think right now, if you're voting on MVP, it's Patrick Mahomes through the first 7 weeks of the season. And as we talked about
What a
last week,
shock.
yeah, we talked about last week, here they come. They have a lot of tough games on their schedule remaining, which will be interesting to watch. Most notably, I want to see the Indianapolis Colts try to stand up to the Chiefs. I think that game is in Arrowhead. I'm not certain about it, but that'll be a fun one to watch. The Chiefs are number one. They're the kings of the AFC until they're not, and they're
Yep.
like we talked about. They got Rashi Rice back, so they're on an upward trajectory. Number one, the Chiefs. Number two,
No disagreement there.
my number two team is the Colts right now, mostly by virtue of the record, I will say. And again, I haven't sat and watched a full Colts game, so there's that. But, I think Daniel Jones has been very efficient. I still think he's Daniel Jones.
He's gonna turn into a pumpkin at some point. I'm sorry. Like it's gonna
I'm with you.
happen. It has
I'm
to
with you.
happen at some point.
I'm with you. And maybe it's not until the divisional round of the playoffs because they've, for some reason they got a bye or something, or the wild card round of the playoffs. But I have to think it's going to happen. And Jonathan Taylor's playing incredibly well. This team I know the Colts are built very well along both lines, the offensive and defensive line, and that is where you want the foundation of your team to come from, I think, because it allows you to do
Yeah.
everything else that you want to be able to do. And it increases the margin for error at the skill positions when you're protected or you have running lanes or you can disrupt up front on the flip side on defense. And so they have that. Jonathan Taylor has 3 games with 3+ rushing touchdowns this season. He only had 2 his entire career previously, so he's playing really well. The one thing I would note about the Colts, just
Monster.
from a numbers perspective, is their defense has given up a lot of yards. 2 weeks in a row, 400+ yards, 3 times in 6 games.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep an eye on going forward.
They're beatable. It's just they're very balanced. Like they're a team you can't make mistakes and win with.
Yeah, they're balanced at the same time that they're playing well.
Yeah,
And
it's a huge win over the Chargers last week.
Chargers were a big win because previously I think you could have said, well, who have you beaten? And
Exactly.
you might be able to still say that a little bit. The Chargers, I don't know, the bloom is off the
corpse
rose
of the
there,
Chargers.
but
Yeah.
I would have them 2. And then for me, this next spot, 3, is really close between 2 teams who I think are similarly situated, but are very different teams. I'm going to go Patriots 3rd and I'm going to go Broncos 4th. And I'll tell you why.
Ooh,
I think
interesting.
I think the Broncos are a more complete team. They have a great defense. It might be the best defense in football. But
Yeah, okay.
think for a
We're not the
team,
best at anything in football.
well, you've got some of the best quarterback play right now. And so I think
Goddamn right.
and this is where we're going. I think for a team in the weight class of the Broncos and the Patriots in terms of talent and ability, in order to make noise in the playoffs, you're going to have to punch above your weight class. You got to beat teams that maybe you shouldn't, or teams that are really bad matchups for you. And what's going to do that, or what's going to sort of allow you to do that, is quarterback play. And I think they have, for lack of a better description, souped up Mac Jones and Bo Nix. I think he's a great facilitator. He's a little more athletic. He can throw better than Mac Jones. But at the end of the day, he is not a playmaker in the way that Drake May is. And I trust the ability of a quarterback like Drake May to be able to help you punch above your weight class going forward. So that's why I have the Patriots above the Broncos, because I think the ceiling on their best days might be a little higher because the quarterback
Yeah,
can do
more. It's a
more.
more explosive team.
Yeah,
We're just
more.
a more explosive team than the
Yeah,
Broncos.
and it's through the most important position on the field, right? You could be more explosive. You could be the Colts, right? You can be explosive, and it's through Jonathan Taylor. But what if I take Jonathan Taylor away?
Hmm.
And so I want
Yeah, true.
the quarterback being the most explosive player is an edge, all things equal, I think, in my opinion, at least. And the Broncos played the Bills last year in the playoffs, right? And they just didn't seem to really have enough to stick with them.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, like, I still think I would put the Bills above the Broncos, but I think the Bills have such a questionable defense.
Yeah,
Right. So what's your number five? Because I think I'm in agreement. Maybe I would. I mean, who's your number
the
five
Bills.
person? Like
It's the
number five
Buffalo
team, the Bills.
Bills,
Yeah.
and
So
it's because it's
I think
today.
I would. Yeah, I think I would probably swap the Bills and the Broncos, but like that Bills just haven't shown that they can win games in the last.
I think that's fair. And if you're following my logic about the quarterback, obviously that favors the Bills over the Broncos. They have the reigning
No, of
MVP, the
course,
walking weapon, Josh Allen.
sledgehammer.
But they are, as of today, they have a lot of issues. We'll see how they come out of the bye. I'm bullish on them. I still think they're the favorite to win this division as things settle down as the season progresses.
Yeah, they're a wagon until they're not.
Yeah, I mean the defense is questionable and the pass catchers are questionable. Those things, there are ways to overcome them though, and I think elevating their play offensively, getting the run game going is going to help them out a
Yeah,
lot. So the Bills are number 5, and I think they're gonna move upward. But as of today, so it would be Kansas City, Indianapolis, New England, Denver, Buffalo in the AFC.
yeah. I think I'd probably have the Colts above the Chiefs. No, it's the Chiefs. It's number one belongs to the Chiefs until you're the king until
Well,
you've been
listen,
killed by the new king.
I mean, if they had lost to the Raiders, I'm not going to put them number
Oh,
1 over the
yeah, but they
Colts,
beat them 31 to zip,
right.
right? They didn't just beat the Raiders, they knocked the pants off the
So
Raiders.
it's not
I can't believe
purely.
we lost to the Raiders. How did we
Again,
lose to the Raiders?
well, like we talked about last week 1 is weird, and I don't know that the
Nice.
Patriots knew exactly what was going to work for them right out of the gate. And
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
but the Chiefs, I don't think the Chiefs are number 1 just because they haven't been knocked off. They've got a quarterback who's one of the greats, and he's playing really, really well right now. And they've got talent on defense, and they're getting their talent back on offense.
Yeah,
It's the
I mean,
trajectory.
yeah. It's Tyquan Thornton, let's be real.
That's it, the difference maker, the X factor.
All right, I'm gonna start. All right, I'm gonna give my list for the NFC.
All right, let's hear it.
I think clear number one, the Detroit Lions.
Hmm.
Like they lost their defensive coordinator, they lost the offensive coordinator, and they have barely missed a beat. I mean, watching them choke out the Bucks on Monday night was I that felt like almost like a vintage Patriots in their heyday performance.
They
The
do a lot.
offense did, yeah, they
They're
did a
able to
lot.
do
It
a
was a
lot
really
on
complete
offense.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're consensus there.
My number one
So
is
if you'd
the
ask, is the
my number one's the Detroit Lions in the NFC.
yeah, I think that's easy choice,
I don't
right?
well, I don't
So
actually I don't agree that it's easy. I think the NFC is actually really front load. There's a lot of good teams in the NFC and it's really front loaded. And I think you can make an
yeah,
argument that there isn't even a top 5. Like I think there's a top maybe 7 in the NFC where they're all sort of in the same range. But as of today,
yeah,
I would go with the Lions number 1.
yeah, and I think almost all these teams are better than the top. I would say probably almost all these teams would be top five. If it was top five NFL, it's almost all NFC teams.
If I had to
Like
rank
maybe
them together, and I don't know if we want to go through our rankings before we get to this,
let's
but
go through the rankings first, and then yeah. Okay, so no, at 2, if you'd asked me last week, I would have said the Bucks, but that was just the weak sauce they put up against the Lions. I think the Eagles are a better team. I think the Eagles are number 2. I think they prove that they can still win with against a good defense with the Vikings. They prove that they can throw the ball. Defense is as good as it was. I mean, it's not as good as it was last year, but it's close. I think they're a pretty complete team. I saw you shake your head there. What do you think?
So my number 2 team is the Rams right now. I think the Rams are the
Okay.
second best team. I like the coaching. I like the way the quarterback's playing. I think their defensive front is strong. I think they can do a lot offensively once they get the run game going a little bit more. I have them as number 2 just because I think they're playing better right now. But my number 3 team is the Eagles.
Okay.
And I think, the Eagles' offensive issues were always going to get sorted out. They have a good offensive line. They're incredibly talented. We like to joke that they have a fullback playing quarterback, but hey, listen, the guy delivers in the pocket in the biggest games. And so I tip my cap to him in that sense, no matter how limited he might be on a 17-game basis. They make the plays when they need to. They're very talented offensively. I would say that defensively is where we're going to see how far they can go. They lost a ton of talent up
Hmm.
front on defense.
That's
Milton Williams, Josh Sweat. So they've lost some pass rush. They were much more of a
yeah.
rotational pass rush team last year. I don't know if they're still doing that, but they were doing it with more talented players as part of that rotation. So I think
Yeah.
the defense might be what eventually does them in, but they are a very talented roster. They might be the most talented roster in the NFL, top to bottom. And so I have them third right now in the NFC, but another team that can move upward for sure. Who's your
Yeah.
third team?
So I had the Rams at 3.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that just makes sense. Yeah. Solid coach, solid explosive offense. They're gonna get Puka back. Yeah. Yeah, they embarrassed the Jaguars, which doesn't feel that hard.
They played well. I mean, and they beat the Colts, right? They're the 1-5-1 right now.
True. True.
Yep.
That's a good point. All right.
Number
So then
4.
at 4, so for me it was a toss up between the Bucks and the Niners. Those are my 4 and 5 teams. I think it's I want to say Bucks, but I think in a few weeks if the Niners get some guys back, it'll be the Niners.
So I have the Packers fourth. I think the Packers are the
Oh,
fourth team in
okay.
the NFC. I think
Okay, talk to me.
the quarterback's playing well enough. I think they're gonna start to get moving a little bit better. I like they can play complementary offensive football, and I think their defense is way better now with the addition of Micah Parsons. And so I think
True, he did pop off last week.
I think they're a dangerous team. I think they've played pretty well. Obviously, there was that game against Dallas where they tied and gave up 1,000,000 points and 1,000,000 yards. But I think they're the number 4 team, and I would have the Bucks number 5.
Okay. Would you have the Niners at 6?
I'd have the Niners at 6 and Seattle at 7, and I think those are sort of
Yeah.
the top 7 in the NFC. And to the point,
I feel like they're all equally really, really, really good.
yeah, I mean, credit to Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers for what they've been able to do so far this season I think they're 5-2.
5 and 2?
Yeah, with losing Nick Bosa, losing Fred Warner, losing Brock Purdy, not having George Kittle until this week, injuries in and out at wide receiver, and they're still running an efficient offense and they're winning football games. So, I mean,
Yeah.
one of my favorite pastimes, though, is watching Kyle Shanahan lose big playoff games, so particularly the Super Bowl. But, I mean, he might be the best, not might be, I think he's the best quarterbacking coach in the league. And so, really impressive what they're doing. To my earlier point, I think I would have all 7 of these teams. You're not gonna like this. This is the ultimate pump the brakes. I'd have all 7 of those NFC teams ahead of the Patriots right now.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, those are all complete teams that have they just feel more stable. Like they have more depth. They have rosters that they've built over the course of a couple of years, and some of them sure like they just got a quarterback in, but like you just you see with the Niners what that kind of stability gives you. I think I would have half of these teams I would have over the Colts.
Mhm.
I'd probably rank the Lions over the Chiefs. I mean, yeah, if we're talking like top 10 teams, it's 7 out of 10 of those teams are NFC teams, but I would have the Pats at top 10.
Well, and luckily for the Patriots, they play, I think, one of those teams in the regular season, the
The Bucks.
Buccaneers, and they can only play one of them in the playoffs, and that would be in the Super Bowl. So that's an NFC problem for the NFC teams and not for us. So, we got to worry about the Jags and the Colts and the Chargers and the Steelers
And the Jets twice.
yeah, the Jets twice. What a gift. What a gift. The gift that keeps on giving, man. Did you see
Yeah.
the clip, by the way, did you see the clip that's going around online of like the
Yeah, I'm a Jets
15-year-old kid who's like already got dead eyes, like soul's already left his body? It's so funny. I just hate this team.
I hate this team. I was so close to being a Jets fan. I grew up in Jets country.
Yeah.
But just God showed me the way at some point. Just like, no.
Well, his name is Tom
He's
Brady.
like, no, you're gonna really like this Drew Bledsoe guy, and I'm like, yeah, right. Man, we should end every podcast just remarking on how great it is to not be a Jets fan.
We should have one shit on the Jets end of the podcast segment every week, which will inevitably come to like fuck us because they'll win one of those games or something and screw us over, and then we'll be the idiots, who made fun of the Jets.
Who are the Jets playing this week? Who are the Jets playing this week?
I don't know. Who are
the we put up negative 10 yards in a game 2 weeks ago playing this week?
And who's playing quarterback? I guess they're going to go with Tyrod Taylor, who honestly might have been the better option coming out of camp, frankly, than Justin Fields. But not a problem you want to have in 2025 is whether or not to start Tyrod Taylor.
That's not agree. Yeah.
Without injury, too. Like, not because of injury, but because you need Tyrod Taylor to get the offense going. And that's no slam on Tyrod Taylor. Listen, good backups are hard to find. He's a good good career NFL quarterback, a high-quality backup, but like,
he's just not a starter.
That's not
he's
path
old.
Forward.
Yeah. No, they're playing the resurging Bengals. That might actually be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean the Bengals like the Ravens. I mean, I think they can get it straightened out a little bit here with better quarterback play.
Yeah, we saw them we saw what they did to the Steelers. I started the Steelers defense. I will not make that mistake against the Bengals again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even their defense isn't good this year.
No, and they hired a defensive head coach too.
I know.
It's tough, man.
Oh, it makes me so happy. Nothing will ever go right for them. All right, listen, we just hit the hour. I think we covered everything we wanted to cover. Any closing remarks? Final words?
No, let's go. This is a start of a tough run here for the Patriots. Tough is relative, but this is a good defense you're playing, followed by Atlanta, who is, another top 3 defense statistically. They have a violent running game that's going to threaten you with Bijan Robinson. And then you go to Tampa Bay and you play a really good football team in the Bucs, and let's see how you stack up there. So another win here against a beatable team that does present some issues, but it's another game you should win and get to 6-2. And
I'm going to be honest with you. If we win all 3 games, I am cutting our brake lines.
No pumping allowed.
We're just it's a runaway car. There's no
me hanging out of the side of the train, trying to grab onto something.
Pump them all you want. Yeah, you can pump the brakes all you want, but if we beat these next 3 teams, the line's cut.
Set up just in time to lose to the Giants or something, But that's my role, right? Is to pump the brakes. So I'm,
you're pumping the brakes.
Theoretical negativity already. I've already lost to the Giants. Yeah, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to the game. Like I said, good test. That's what you want to watch. Enough of these cupcake tomato can teams like the Saints and the Titans. As much as we love to praise the Patriots for their performance against them, they're dog shit football teams that you have to beat up on if you want to move forward and progress as a program in the league. And so they did that. So credit to them. But let's move on to better teams now and see where
I'd love to see us go up early on the Browns and hold on to a narrow lead for the whole game.
It'd be great. Get some running game going. Yeah, would love it.
Yeah.
All right. A pleasure.
Bye, folks. Cheers.